Alright folks, let's talk about working out, man. We all want to stay in shape, keep those gains coming, feel good, feel strong. But, and this is a big but, nobody wants to get sidelined with an injury. Especially as we get a little older. We gotta be smart about what we're doing in the gym. That's why in this video we're diving deep into 10 exercises that guys over 40 should probably avoid. These are the ones that tend to cause the most problems, putting unnecessary stress on your joints, your back, the whole 9 yards. We're talking about minimizing risk here, folks, so stick around and let's make sure you're still hitting PRs well into your golden years. Let's start with a controversial one. The barbell back squat. Look, I love a good squat. Don't get me wrong, but man, the barbell squat can be brutal on the body, especially as you get older. You're talking about a ton of weight loaded directly onto your spine, and the potential for bad form is through the roof. One wrong move and bam, you're looking at a slipped disc, messed up knees, all kinds of fun stuff. It's just a recipe for disaster for a lot of guys over 40. Now I know some of you are thinking, but Joe, squats are the king of lifts. And I get it, I really do. But trust me, there are safer ways to build those legs without turning your spine into dust. Bodyweight squats, for example, are a great alternative. Another option is the leg press machine. If you've got a solid base of strength, good form, and your body can handle it, then go for it. Next up, we've got the overhead press, another classic lift and another one that can be a real shoulder killer, especially for the over 40 crowd. Think about it. You're pressing weight straight over your head, putting a ton of stress on your shoulders, your elbows, even your wrists. And if you've got any pre-existing shoulder issues, forget about it. The problem is, most of us spend way too much time hunched over our desks, which leads to tight pecs, rounded shoulders, and all sorts of postural problems. That's a recipe for disaster when you start throwing heavy weights over your head. So, what are the alternatives? Well, lateral raises are a great way to work your shoulders without putting as much stress on the joint. Front raises are another good option. And if you're really looking to build some serious shoulder strength, you can't go wrong with face pulls. They work all the muscles in your upper back and help keep your shoulders healthy and stable. Alright, let's talk about the bench press. This one's near and dear to my heart because it's one I had to give up myself. I used to bench heavy, man, but it just got to be too much for my shoulders. The bench press puts your shoulders in a really vulnerable position, especially if you're using a barbell. You're forcing your shoulders into extreme external rotation, which can lead to all sorts of problems like rotator cuff tears, labrum tears, you name it. So, what can you do instead? Well, dumbbells are a great alternative to the barbell bench press. They allow for a more natural range of motion and put less stress on your shoulders. Another good option is to ditch the weights altogether and use resistance bands. Bands are great because they provide variable resistance, meaning the resistance increases as you stretch the band. Chapter 4. Now, let's talk about the deadlift. This one's a bit of a tricky one because it's a fantastic exercise when done correctly. It works your entire posterior chain, from your traps down to your hamstrings, and it's a great way to build overall strength and power. But, and this is a big but, it's also incredibly easy to screw up, especially as you get older. The deadlift puts a ton of stress on your lower back, and if your form is even slightly off, you're risking serious injury. We're talking herniated discs, spinal stenosis, all sorts of nasty stuff that can leave you crippled. And it's not just your back that's at risk. A bad deadlift can also mess up your hips, your knees, even your biceps. So, what's the solution? Well, if you're dead set on deadlifting, then you need to make sure your form is impeccable. Start with a light weight and gradually increase the load as you get stronger, and listen to your body. But for most guys over 40, there are safer alternatives that will give you a killer workout without putting your spine at risk. Kettlebell swings are a great option. Chapter 5. Power cleans are one of those exercises that look really impressive, but man, are they ever risky? Especially for guys our age. You're essentially trying to catch a barbell in a front squat position after explosively pulling it up from the floor. It's a highly technical lift that requires a ton of coordination, timing, and flexibility, things that tend to decline as we get older. The problem is, there's so much that can go wrong with the power clean. You're putting your wrists, elbows, shoulders, back and knees all under a tremendous amount of stress. One wrong move and you could be looking at a serious injury. Unless you're a competitive weightlifter, there's really no need to be doing power cleans. Medicine ball throws are a great way to develop explosive power without putting your joints at risk. Chapter 6. Alright, let's talk about the upright row, an exercise that's supposed to work your traps and shoulders. But honestly, this one's just asking for trouble. You're pulling a barbell straight up towards your chin, forcing your shoulders into internal rotation, which is a recipe for shoulder impingement. The upright row puts a ton of stress on your rotator cuff, those tiny muscles and tendons that help stabilize your shoulder joint. And if you're already dealing with any shoulder issues, this exercise can make them way worse. So, what can you do instead? Well, shrugs are a great way to work your traps without putting your shoulders at risk. Face pulls are another excellent exercise for your traps and shoulders. Chapter 7. Behind the neck presses. Don't go there. Behind the neck presses, man. Where do I even begin with this one? It's like someone took the overhead press and said, how can we make this even more dangerous? When you press a weight behind your neck, you're forcing your shoulders into extreme external rotation and abduction, which is a recipe for disaster. It puts a ton of stress on your rotator cuff, your labrum, your AC joint, everything. Plus, it can also wreak havoc on your neck. So, what are some safer alternatives? Well, pretty much any other shoulder exercise is a better option than behind the neck presses. Just keep the weight in front of your body where it belongs. Let's talk about leg extensions, a classic exercise that's supposed to work your quads. But here's the thing. Leg extensions put a ton of stress on your knees, especially the patellar tendon, which connects your kneecap to your shin bone. The problem with leg extensions is that they create a shearing force on your knee joint, which is basically like rubbing two bones together. This can lead to all sorts of problems like patellar tendinitis, patellofemoral pain syndrome, and even tears in the tendon itself. Plus, leg extensions don't really mimic any natural movements, so they're not particularly functional. Squats, lunges, and step-ups are all great exercises that work your quads without putting excessive stress on your knees. These exercises work multiple muscle groups at once, which is more efficient and functional. Kipping pull-ups, man, these things drive me crazy. I see people doing these in the gym all the time, and I just want to shake them and say, what are you doing? Kipping pull-ups are basically cheating your way through a pull-up. Instead of using your muscles to pull yourself up, you're using momentum generated by swinging your body. The problem is, kipping pull-ups put a ton of stress on your shoulders, elbows, and wrists. If you can't do a strict pull-up, start with assisted pull-ups or lat pull-downs. And once you can do a few strict pull-ups, focus on improving your form and increasing your reps. Alright folks, let's talk about the Smith machine squat, a classic example of a well-intentioned exercise gone wrong. The Smith machine is that contraption in the gym with the barbell fixed to a vertical track. It's supposed to make squats safer, but in reality it often does the opposite. The problem with Smith machine squats is that they force your body into an unnatural movement pattern. Because the barbell is fixed in a vertical plane, it eliminates the need for your stabilizer muscles to work. When you squat with a free barbell, your stabilizer muscles help keep your knees and hips in alignment. But with the Smith machine, your body is forced to move along a fixed path, which can put excessive stress on your joints. Use the damn squat rack. Squatting with a free barbell is a much more natural and effective exercise. So, there you have it folks, 10 exercises that men over 40 should probably avoid. Look, I know it's not always easy to give up the exercises you love, but trust me, your body will thank you for it in the long run. The goal here isn't to scare you away from the gym, it's about educating you so you can make smart decisions about your training. Remember, longevity is the key. In future videos, we'll be diving deep into the best exercises for men over 40. And as always, thanks for watching.